been a really busy winter, and a lot of things are changing in my business. I'm finally starting to feel that reawakening from hibernation and ready for a spring reset. But things don't always go according to plan, and sometimes that pull might actually be leading you to something more aligned. Welcome to episode 1 of the Slow Season Diaries. I'm busy rewilding.
You're looking past mine, but I'm just trying to break the cycle. Why are you staring at the door like I'm in the way? If you're leaving, that's fine, but don't forget your pride. 'Cause I'm just trying to break this cycle. Are you?
I'm exhausted, but also just feeling so good. The show last week was so much fun, and it's more than just the show. It's like a whole week of camaraderie and performing, and it's just so much fun. And we've been practicing since early November, so it kind of almost is like it's not just the end of the show. It feels like the end of the busy season, the end of a really busy winter. And this winter felt like such a blur, but then when I kind of sit and think back about what happened, I'm like, wow, so much happened this winter. And I feel like a lot of the time, you feel like you didn't accomplish anything, or, a lot of friends I've been talking to, it's like, oh, I've been feeling so stuck and like I'm lacking clarity. But if you really reflect, and I was kind of feeling a little bit like this too, but when you actually reflect, you're like, wow, actually, I have done a lot of new things or put things in motion, or there's something inside that shifted. So that feels really good. But yeah, my brain's not really functioning this week so far, but I think that's okay. The shops in town are finally slowing down too. So even though it's still ski season, I am not pedal to the metal anymore. I started making some spring items, like some headbands that are really fun. And then I'll bring lightweight beanies starting in the summer. But yeah, welcome to a let's get my life back together week in the studio. Sometimes I really feel like the best way to re-energize and reset is to just give yourself space. So nice just having a couple of slow mornings, and it's snowing outside anyway, so it's like the perfect day to like not worry about much. I do have a couple meetings coming up today, but I'm really excited about them. I'm working on a couple of exciting new projects, and I will share them with you soon. Good morning! Wow, I just had a marathon of a morning. I think I just had like 3.5 hours of meetings straight. And if you're like, what are you meeting about? Like, what is going on behind the scenes of your business? And spring is kind of the time when I start new projects or initiate these big picture plans that I've been thinking about for the last few months. I think I talked about it before, where April and May are kind of my slow seasons. And so I really use those times not to make more products, not to try to market and sell things, but to actually start putting things into action that I've been thinking about or planning, because my year cycle for my business really starts in April and ends the following April. So truly, not even just from having like a seasonal product, but even just from how I run my business and living with the seasons, it's just how things fall into place. So I just met with like a strategist on some of these new things that I want to implement for my business, and we're talking about how I want to rearrange my website and things like that, and things that I need to implement when I start going in there and making changes. And then the other meeting was meeting with a friend who we're going to be hosting a really awesome weekend here in Colorado. So if you live in Colorado, or if you're willing to come to Colorado, I'm putting something together really fun. It's going to be an amazing weekend that is going to be equal parts like adventure and workshopping. So kind of like the Iceland retreat, but more local, shorter, and just a little bit more accessible to people. So I'm very excited about that. But just a lot of things in the works. I'm feeling very energized. And yeah, these are just some of the things that start happening in the spring. I'll be going through all of that with you and bringing you along on what I do in these off-season months. I have a whole series from last year called the Slow Season Diaries, and it's just kind of sharing like how I reset for the spring. So you can go back and watch those too. But this week is really just me starting to change over into that spring mindset and bringing you along with me. But anyway, I am starving, so I'm gonna have some lunch and I will talk to you later. So last night we heard this weird scratching at the window and I was like, is that a raccoon? And we go look and it's two giant bears. So they've already woken up from hibernation, and it made me just laugh because they were kind of like wandering around like confused. And we do have a couple of bears that live in our neighborhood. I don't know where they hibernate, but we see them every summer, so it just felt really early to be seeing them. It's April 2nd today, but it was just funny, and it really made me think about how, you know, for us too, as small business owners, creatives, whatever, but in trying to connect with the seasons and to be more intentional about living seasonally, we do have those weird periods of time where we're just kind of bopping around, not sure what's going on, just trying to recalibrate a little bit. And I've totally felt that this week because, like I said, this week our town saw a significant drop off in how busy it is. And, you know, it kind of culminated with our dance show. And even though there's a couple of weeks of skiing left, you know, everything is really slowing down. But for me in my business stuff, I feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough hats made, or like I need to get all this done urgently. You know, all that stuff. And I keep reminding myself this week, it's okay. Not everything is urgent right now. I also found myself diving deep into this rabbit hole of a project, which has been so much fun, and I've just been working on it a ton and putting a lot of my time and energy towards it. And you know, sometimes you're like, am I wasting my time by spending all this time on this and ignoring some of this other stuff? No, that's what this time of year is about. All these other things right now are not as urgent as they were before. But again, it just takes a little bit to recalibrate. And so part of that like spring reset is also letting yourself recalibrate. Like I slept in the last couple of days. I was like, I'm just not going to set an alarm. I'm going to let myself be lazy in the mornings, and that is okay. And I know a lot of like entrepreneur stuff talks about like productivity and getting up early and making the most of being awake in the early hours. And I totally understand that. But we don't have to do that. And I think it makes us feel guilty if we're not doing that. But I think it's okay. Just really starting to feel springy. Okay, I finally sent out the newsletter. I always think it's going to take me way less time than it actually does, but I want to make sure they're good and that people want to open them and read them. And it's always so awesome when people respond to the newsletter and just tell me like about what's going on in their life, or that something in the newsletter was helpful, or people even just like liking the playlist or whatever that I share. You know, I have random sections that talk about little tidbits like that. But it's just been so awesome. But sometimes it just takes me a little bit longer. Like today it took me a little over 2 hours. But I was thinking about it, and a lot of creative biz friends have been asking me lately, like, I want to start my newsletter. I know it's important to have an email list, but I don't know what to write. And I think like with anything, it's kind of like a muscle. The more you do it, the easier it'll be, the more you'll understand what you even want to share with your community, and, you know, what is important to them and what's important for you to share. And for me, I guess it's kind of just evolved over time, but what's helpful is almost having like a theme for the week. So like last week, I was in that dance show, and while I was vlogging, I was talking a lot about the power of play. I was talking about this podcast that I listened to that really inspired me to think about that more. And so this week, I was like, well, maybe I take what I was talking about last week and just have become more familiar with just from talking about to you and share it in a newsletter, and just using the story of me being in that dance show and why I do it into the newsletter, you know? The same with Instagram content this week. But I think as you start writing and as you just get to know your community more, you get to know your voice more, you'll really start to see, what do I want to share? What does my audience want to hear from me? But even though I sell knit hats and host these creative retreats and share about my outdoor adventures, like, a lot of these stories are just what has happened in my life that has helped me on my journey, and in the hope of it helping someone else. Kind of like the vlogs, you know? And I didn't really know where I was going with it. I just thought I'd be here documenting my journey or sharing little anecdotes or whatever. But it's become so much more than that. But it's one of those things that I would never have realized unless I started doing it. But it's just been so fun. If you have a newsletter, or if you've been wanting to start one or feel stuck on how, like, what is stopping you? Like, tell me in the comments, like, what are those pain points for you? Because it's been such a cool journey for me, and it's truly been a way to connect with my community outside of social media. And one of the things I really want to work on this spring is to really figure out more ways to grow my newsletter. So that's one of the things I'm very excited to work on in this slower season for the business. And also, I'm actually planning to do this after I talk to you right now, but I want to do more like talking head style videos where I talk about a specific topic, and I've made a few of them, and for some reason it's so much harder for me than to just talking to you on the camera in a vlog. Making the talking head videos, I like clam up. I feel like I speak a little bit differently on it for some reason, but I've gotten good feedback on them, and I've had a lot of people tell me, like, I really like this style, can you talk about more different topics, blah blah blah. So that is a muscle that I am still trying to exercise, but hopefully by doing more of them and just sprinkling more of them into my like video routine, it helps me get better at them. But it's true for anything, right?
I just wanna go out on a walk with you, baby, you know I just like to talk with you. You don't have to tell me anything that's new, I just wanna go out on a walk with you. I just wanna see your shadow next to mine, sailing over pavement with our two outlines. I like to see the shape you're in from time to time, I just wanna see your shadow next to mine.
Whoa, it is crazy how quiet town has gotten all of a sudden. We're kind of walking around town on the sidewalk because it is officially mud season, and a lot of the trails that we usually go on are either super slushy or really hard to walk on, or just totally muddy right now. So for the next little bit, it might be more of these like town walks, but it's nice. It's a nice change of scene, new smells for Aria, and yeah, it's just really peaceful.
See the same things you can see.
Well, I did it again. I just spent most of the day editing a video, and I was so behind with editing this week, so it got pushed back to today. But I've also just been having a bunch of different meetings, and like I said, I'm working on creating this very exciting thing happening in Colorado this summer. So it's one of those like all systems go, like we have to just get this off the ground and get it going. So it's not quite the reset that I was thinking, but I was talking to my friend today, and I was just saying how frustrated I was that this was supposed to be my reset week, like my real reset week. And she basically was like, you are having a reset week. It's almost like having that weird transition week of chaos between having a really busy winter and just being a little bit all over the place. I don't have to have that sit down, zoom out, cozy aesthetic planning video in order to have a reset, but having this kind of like what is going on week, I almost feel like I'm coming out of my cave and just like shaking off all of the winter cobwebs, and that's kind of what this week feels like. So if you're kind of feeling that way too, you're not alone. I'm definitely in the thick of it too. But after such a brain heavy day, I'm going to have a little veg time, have a little lunch, maybe do some knitting and catch up on a YouTube vlog or two, and then later tonight we have a craft and hang in the Discord community. So I'm excited to catch up with a few of you there too. It's already Friday. I don't know if I told you yet, but a couple things came up last week that were really disappointing. And I don't know if I've shared all of this with you yet because I've been going back and forth in emails and voice notes and all this stuff with other things behind the scenes. But last week, after having a meeting with my trip rep and my co-host for the British Columbia trip, we are actually deciding to officially postpone the trip. And a big part of that was just a lot of the conversations I was having with people who wanted to come and people in the Discord. There was so much excitement about it and interest, but ultimately the dates didn't seem to work out for a lot of the people. But with Trova, the company that I've been partnering with for these big international trips, that was the only date they had available for this year. So very hard decision, but we officially decided to postpone the trip to better work with the dates that people were available for, and for us take the pressure off because the timeline to fill the trip was really short compared to Iceland. So it was just feeling a little misaligned and a really hard decision to make because I was so excited to go on that trip, and a lot of people were really excited, but if the dates aren't working out, the dates aren't working out. So we decided to pivot. But the exciting thing is, and that's kind of why I've been spending so much time working on this other project behind the scenes, is we were like, we still want to do something. And like we've been talking about here, community just feels so important. Finding other creative and small biz friends, going on an adventure together, and just getting a chance to get re-inspired and to connect and be out in the wilderness and off the grid a little bit just felt so important. So we are officially hosting Creative Camp Colorado. It's going to be this summer, and there's already been a ton of buzz and interest on it. I have a wait list going because we're still working on finalizing the details, but the dates are going to be August 7th through 10th, so it'll be kind of more of a long weekend, and I'm so excited because there will be camping and rafting involved. It's going to have summer camp vibes with all kinds of activities and just time to create together and have really meaningful fireside chats. But if you're interested, I would love for you to join. There's a waitlist going, and I'll put a link down below to join the waitlist. There's been a ton of excitement about it already, and a bunch of people have already signed up for the waitlist. So if you're interested, definitely jump on the waitlist. We're still working on finalizing all of the details, but the official launch will be in a few weeks. So definitely get on there. If you have questions about it or want to chat more, definitely send me a message. But that's what I've been working on behind the scenes that's just taken up so much time because I want to make a trip happen this summer, and it just feels so important and so needed. But I'm very excited. There's just so many things in the works. Even though I was thinking this would be like a slow reset week, it ultimately became this week with very exciting, very high energy projects. But I feel like that's just like my life as a creative business owner. Sometimes there's always something that comes up. Sometimes there's something really exciting and you just need to follow that creative flow because those things, the things that really light you up and excite you, often mean that you're going in the right direction. And I know there's shiny object syndrome too, but if you have that vision and that dream for yourself and something comes up that is just pulling you towards it, it's probably the right decision. And I know a lot of the time for me, that is what has led me into these new directions or towards something that I didn't even know I wanted. But yeah, it's just very exciting and I can't wait to share more with you.
This week didn't go exactly how I imagined, but maybe that's the point. Building a creative life and business often means going with the flow and following the pull to something greater. It's recalibrating, realigning, and making space for new things to grow. With the start of the slow season, it's time to take action and put into motion all of the things we've been dreaming and planting seeds for in winter. It's letting these seeds take root and grow beneath the surface before they bloom. This is what the rewilding process really looks like. Messy, beautiful, and full of possibility. Thank you for being here for episode 1 of the Slow Season Diaries. I'll see you in the next one.